welcome back to the rationalinvestor.com Broiler Chicken Show. Trade your trading plans, don't take too much risk on any one trade, and just let yourself get rich. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the rationalinvestor.com's Broiler Chicken Show. Back. Happy Sunday. Looks like everything's humming along here. Always fun to check in on the YouTube page and see if it's actually doing its thing. It's circling right now, so I have no idea whether I'm live or not, but hope I am. Hello, chat. Good to see we got a few of the old timers here. OGs. Kevin. Hello, Adam. Hello, Ursus. Hello, Nore. Hello, Nibi Coil SP. Oh boy. I have no idea how I'm supposed to pronounce that, but hopefully I didn't butcher your name too badly. Yeah, I don't know what it is. I've got my show director, chief bottle washer running the show, and he's pretty darn consistent. But I notice on my end, YouTube gives me challenges. So not quite sure. But anyway, if you guys are chatting away and you say that I'm live, then I must be live. Hopefully you're seeing, maybe I should just refresh this page. I won't kill the stream or anything, but maybe there's something wrong with it. But anyway, hopefully you're seeing the newsletter here on the screen. Sadly, it's not painting the prettiest of pictures for those risk takers around the world. Hey, there we are. Hey, look at that. I'm live. Yeah, I'll try. Somebody gave me some feedback recently saying couldn't really see symbols. And I noticed, I don't know why TradingView does that. But when you post charts, the broadcast is never crystal clear. But I know it posts the name, but it doesn't post the symbol. So I'll try and remember if I do happen to mention a name and the symbol isn't on the screen. I'll try and remember to give you the symbol. We can always take a screenshot of the particular moment that I'm talking about something and just DM me, and I'll be more than happy to tell you what the hell it was I was talking about. So here we are, end of September 2025, heading full steam into probably the toughest few years of this 80-year money cycle. It's going to be a bit of a slog, folks. No sense in BSing you. You can look around the world. I've never seen such a lack of confidence in the system since really late 70s, early 80s when I was very young. So sign of the times. And you often wonder whether, is it which came first, the chicken or the egg kind of idea? Does the poor leadership lead to lack of confidence in the system, or does lack of confidence in the system lead to poor leadership? Anyway, we are at one of those sort of pivot points in history. I will tell you, next time you happen to be, maybe your next life, heading into the end of a century, usually those are pretty good times. You think of the end of the 19th century, beginning of the 20th century, that was like the peak of the British Empire, and the United States was coming into its own. And then the few decades following the pivot of the century, oh boy, all hell broke loose. So I do think, we're sort of heading headlong into this new century. And unfortunately, we look back and think of Probably a lot of you are not old enough to remember what the good times look like, but low inflation, positive environment, positive demographics, government wasn't in your face, governments weren't broke. And it was all about sort of, I guess the end of the 90s was all about sort of us winning the Cold War. Um, but anyway, I digress. Um, my number one purpose in all of these videos is to try and make a positive difference in all of your lives. That's the only reason to do any of this. There really is no other reason whatsoever. So the question is, how the hell do I make a positive difference in your lives when we're sitting in a very, very precarious moment here? I'm not quite sure what I should do here. I mean, the sad thing is usually when I'm most optimistic and most enthusiastic, the public's not even really that interested. And then when I start, I even put out a tweet today, and I even put right in the comments of the tweet, oh man, I'm going to catch a lot of hate for this. And I also noticed too, and I have a funny feeling we're going to be seeing more and more of this. The public right now is just not in a very good place. And I do think that a lot of people are coming into the market almost a little bit out of desperation, kind of hoping beyond hope, hope, please, please, please go up so I can buy that Lambo and I can make fun of my next door neighbors because they're so fucking poor. Blah, I don't know, maybe not that, but unfortunately, when it comes to things like psychoanalysis, you can never really, and actually, I don't think it's in your best interest to say the market will top here, the market will top there, the market will do this, the market will do that. And I scolded one person, in the Twitterverse. You could really see their emotion in their response to my and keep in mind, I have absolutely no expectation whatsoever out of things like Twitter and Twitter feeds and stuff. It happens to be a certain audience following there, well, so be it, but I don't ask any money from them. The only person that's going to ask you for money on Twitter is Alan. And frankly speaking, I think my days of using that platform are soon coming to an end. So by all means, if, number one, I thought it was interesting. I think it's super important. And, if you are watching this feed for the first time, I'm probably one of the only guys on this silly interneting thing that's going to just give you the straight goods. Making money in the market on a consistent basis is damn difficult, hard work. To actually expect to make money in the market. Not this pie in the sky bullshit where these fucking circle jerkers come in and they blow themselves up, and a year or two later, you never hear from them. They'll never tell you how much money they lost. So this is probably like a sobering kind of, how can I best help you people? I'm going to sober you up. Smack, smack, smack. Get a cup of coffee in that guy. Go run a couple laps. Burn it off. So, again, try and remember, folks, while you're watching this, there's only one motive I have out of doing these videos. Only one. But in this kind of scenario, it is damn difficult for me to figure out how I'm going to do that with you. When the market's a buy, it's so easy. Get in there and buy. What are you, crazy? Can't you see the W's? Come on, man. Go, 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 go. But the W's are few and far between here, especially in crypto. It just feels as though you're kind of like you're fighting an uphill battle here. And I have a funny feeling the powers that be, anytime this space sort of gets a little head of steam behind it, some big old catalyst comes along and smacks it back down. And unfortunately, that is a function of this cycle. This is like the shittiest part of the economic cycle you could possibly find yourself in. I suppose also too, there are some warning signs that the public, in particular assets that they are coming into, the public's starting to really chomp at the bit, and you can see the institutional players are backing away. So this is a tough one, folks. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Tough market state. The commentary here, which I think paints appropriate backdrop, of course, is that this whole inflation bug that probably most of you, especially you young people, you've never actually even lived through a terrible inflation cycle, let alone stagflation, which I think could very easily be the scenario for probably the next few years. We'll see. Only time will tell. Did watch an interesting video. Larry Williams put out a recent piece, and unfortunately, his forecast for Bitcoin and crypto is kind of tough here into the end of the year. I don't know whether we're going to get our big cycle blow off top here or not. And as I said there a moment ago, what I'm starting to see is emotional reaction out of people, name calling and all that kind of fun stuff. But I certainly don't have any motivation to circle jerk or pump up things. I just don't have any motivation whatsoever. All I do is I just tweet what I see. And unfortunately, if I see weakness, then I have to tweet out, oh boy, this looks heavy. And then if I see strength, then I say, oh boy, that looks good. So, the backdrop here, I mean, you can see the breadth indicators. They're not really very happy right now. It's interesting to see crypto, the entire breadth of crypto is getting pretty washed out. So if anything, like we had the FOMC event. And I think as I had sort of pointed out to the community, posting charts on a daily basis, it kind of felt like in pretty typical fashion, certainly nothing really out of the ordinary here, ironically enough. Did the corn just get FUMC'd? So, here is our eclipse window, so thereabouts, although this is the FOMC event here. I guess the lunar eclipse, and it was like a blood moon too, spooky. It was over here. So we came through the eclipse window, and unfortunately, I think this was a buy the rumor. And of course, Fed events right between that. I was thinking, all right, higher highs and higher lows, and we're a bull. And then the Fed did their thing and actually set up a really pretty lower time frame setup. You'd have to really zoom in here to see it. On the failure of the trend continuation pattern, boom, it fails, and that actually sets up a short. And basically since the Fed event, the market's been working that short. Suppose this is a really good lesson that you really shouldn't just sort of take 100% profits at profit objectives. And ironically enough, the markets that are actually going to make you rich as a trader are the ones where you can sneak in, you can strap on your position, you can take partial profits at certain ratios of risk, pay yourself a little bit for your efforts, and then just try and just let the market make you rich. I like to do very small trades here. So just to show you, anybody can do this. If this was 10 times the size, it would be an $1,800 profit. But if anything, like I said, I would rather you see this, show in, show out, day in, day out, how does the Brian just mine the market? And I think this is a really, really good example where a very, very small trade, and a lot of people with the sort of the need to be proven right by the market might take all of the profits here, but you can clearly see, more selling, hell, or I guess buying, right? Because we shorted up here. I suppose we could probably take some more profits down here. Only got about 1/12 of the position still on, and it's still working away. I mean, I don't know what the hell's going to happen here. Just got to let the market do its thing. I do like the idea that they've stretched the rubber band pretty far here. And the irony of it all is all they've actually done is just brought price back down into, hey, one of Brian's favorite levels to consider buying. So I don't really see anything out of the ordinary here. If we look at it from a little higher time frame perspective, this is a 4-hour chart now. Actually, this is the one that I produced earlier. As I said, all they did was just bring the market back down into a reload zone. And interestingly enough, right into the middle of what appears to be a pretty solid trend channel. So I don't really see, I don't see the sky falling. And if anything, hearing the amount of bearishness in the space, it's remarkable how quickly all these people can turn absolutely, oh, this guy's falling, it's the end of the world, kind of sentiment. It's like people completely lost all perspective of why did they get involved in this to begin with? What was their objective? I'm hearing a lot of people sort of say, well, should I get out now that it's heading down, and then I'll get in right at the bottom, and then we'll get out right at the top the next cycle, and should I like second guess and just hop ship here, and then maybe come back when the buy signal comes in? I could pretty much tell you, if you're an investor, that's a potion for disaster. The only problem is, I mean, let's call a spade here. Where's the image I had? Which, of course, I even said, oh boy, I'm going to catch a lot of poop publishing this one. Is this really a good place for us to even be thinking about, quote unquote, investing in an asset that looks like that? Oh boy. So I did find it interesting, actually. I didn't see this before, but this does look like a 3 drives harmonic pattern, which means we might actually even play a little bit more up top here before breaking down. We didn't quite hit that 1.272. But the bottom line here is, and it doesn't really matter what assets I'm looking at. In fact, my little shit coin that I got up and running on Pump.Fun, I even have on the screen. If the market is not in a reload zone, the dollar cost averaging machine is turned off. And I'll just wait for the market to come back down into reload zones. It doesn't really matter what perspective is. This is just more a question of, can you identify the range, and where are we, relatively speaking, on that range? And then, the old institutional investor adage, they buy down markets. They very rarely buy up markets. Or they'll buy an up market, they'll nibble on it with the full intention that when the market actually does start to correct in earnest, that's when they'll do their serious buying. And the problem here is that the writing's on the walls. If you are a fan of these indicators, just think, don't overthink this stuff. Just W's are bullish, M's are bearish. Boy, lots of M's all over the place. Even on volume momentum indicators, which is not a good sign. I mean, they're pushing the price up here, and yet who's actually buying up here? You can clearly see from the profile, there's not a hell of a lot of buyers up here. So somebody's pushing this up. And of course, who is getting all excited and bullish at the top of these cycles? It's usually the public. I'd also say too, I think this is a beautiful juxtaposition of this, where you can both study price, the range, and also time. And these time fib studies work so well on Bitcoin. I'm quite surprised that more people don't actually understand this and use this. If anything, maybe it's our secret weapon. I don't know. Just to give you a comparison, this was the cycle from back a decade ago. It's interesting how actually early on that cycle, the market did top there. Of course, that was the whole Mount Gox event. I don't think the market was supposed to do that then. And even the Gox guys, good old Roly Polioli, mind you, he lost a hell of a lot of weight in Japanese prison. If you're overweight, portly, maybe hashtag obese, and you want to lose some weight, just go commit a crime in Japan and you'll eat rice and rotten tuna for 5 years. And all of a sudden, poof, now you're not overweight anymore. Anyway, that was a fun experience through Bitcoin because I think even the Bitcoiners did not expect this, but it turns out there was an algorithm. They called it the Willy bot, and it went out of control. And as soon as it found out that the Gox guy was cornered, oh man, they really ran the market on him and destroyed him. Following cycle, this of course was when Donnie was first president, and the CME listing event. We don't really have too much in the way of liquidity events here ahead of us now, unfortunately. I'm not quite sure what else could be brought into Bitcoin. I did find it interesting. I saw yet another one of these sort of like mutual fund platforms said, we are officially allowing our investors to invest in crypto ETFs now. It's like, wow, isn't that a bit late? Wow. Trying to juice the market as much as possible. Last cycle, of course, this was when Alan was fucking around with the Bitcoin price and kind of messed up the cycles. But nonetheless, ironically enough, we actually topped right on that cycle pivot very closely to that actual event. And here we are now. So this is just, this is basically the past decade of Bitcoin price action in a nutshell. I don't see any reason why this wouldn't be similar. And when we look at the money cycles and all that kind of talk, they also suggest that liquidity could get a little bit challenging here over the next year or so. So, at the very least, you just simply have to respect the message. Just we're getting very, very late in this cycle. Could there be another push up here? Given this administration and the insane corruption around him, it wouldn't surprise me. Really wouldn't surprise me one bit. Could this be the end of the cycle and we just quietly roll over and that's it? Yeah, I'm sure. It wouldn't surprise me one bit. This thing has come an awful long way. So here was our last 1618 to 1786. And I remember distinctly, again, I'm here to try and help you people. Anybody can go on the internet and find all the damn videos and all the funny little get your shit together references down in here. But coming to the market here, all the way up here now, saying, all right, I'm going to make 10x my money here now. Come on. It's a bit unrealistic. So, whatever it's worth, usually Bitcoin doesn't like to end one of these cycles without some sort of great circle jerk orgy. So that could very well still be in the cards. We really didn't get that big circle jerk orgy that I was half expecting. But then even within the venture cap stock market, I mean, last cycle, you remember they were all doing the GameStop and what was the other one? There was like a movie theater company. What the hell was the name of that place? I mean, the oddest the oddest companies. They were just taking absolutely parabolic through that window. So I guess it made sense, of course, that you had crypto going parabolic. But unfortunately, this cycle, very, very different fundamental backdrop. And I don't think a lot of people in the marketplace appreciate how very, very different the backdrop is for this particular cycle. And at the same time, too, can anybody sit there and say, well, you know what? Crypto's done nothing over the past few years. You can't say that. I mean, what is this? This is 300 billions, and here we are at a trillion. So that's 3x. Yeah, it hasn't done a hell of a lot over the past year, but looking back in hindsight, you can't say that there wasn't money to be made. And the little account that I've been managing through this, it's about double, maybe 2.5 times what we started at. But you just got to take what the market gives you. Did I hope, expect that we would see a nice big blow off top all the way up to A, B, C, D levels? I suppose so. But if the market just ain't going to cooperate, well, then the market just ain't going to cooperate. Yeah, my old buddy Jack, he used to always say, right, you cannot push a chain. And think about it like from the gold bugs. At least the gold bugs are having a good time now. But for the longest time, man, you couldn't give away gold stocks. They had to sit there if you were a gold bug for like 20 years doing absolutely nothing. So, and yet the entire time you could make the argument, well, the fiat currency system's going to hell in a handbasket and there's going to be hyperinflation. And eventually they were proven right, but the market will only go when the market wants to go. And of course, it's going now in the gold market. I suppose the good part about an image like this is pretty much a V top. So I would expect some back and forth before this is ultimately done. There's one thing that kind of bothered me about sort of the bull case right now is that, Taco's idiot son's coming out and saying this is the best time to ever buy, which of course, you know how good they are at market timing. It's almost funny. If we actually look like this is baffling because I could completely understand if the market's sort of washed out going sideways, not really that many people are interested. Go out there and pound the drums and let's get the bull going. But to actually come out and say something like, "Oh yeah, this is the best time ever to actually invest," right in the face of a big ass honking double top, and this not only is the market smiling at you, it's dangerous when this happens. This is the market smiling within a market smile. Oh boy! So this now becomes like an absolute brick wall. Actually, what's interesting about this is, Larry was pointing this out in his video, is that there's actually a really, really high correlation between US interest rates and these cryptos, which I thought was an interesting observation. So you kind of see that smile within a smile kind of image. And keep in mind, remember Donnie, his big sales pitch of late, basically since day one he's been in office, has been, I've got to get those interest rates down, got to get mortgage rates down, do whatever it takes to get those damn rates down. So you notice, remember I showed you that Ethereum chart, and then lo and behold, look at that 10-year yield chart. I find that fascinating. Hopefully you can see the smile within the smile, and look at all these smiles. Holy crap. So ironically enough, I think you actually make the argument that the bond market right now, and for whatever it's worth, and I'm sure anybody watching this already knows this, but I turned very, very bullish of bonds a while ago. And if this bond bullish thesis is correct, And unfortunately, that's actually a very negative sign for the economy. Means that the economy itself is rolling over and slowing down. So by definition, then it should mean that, especially with something like Ethereum, how do you actually value one Ethereum? And I've been asking this same question since the day Ethereum was listed. And I remember when that happened. Hindsight 2020, I guess I should have bought some and just squirreled it away. Oh, I did. Those are Liam's coins, and I'm not allowed to touch them until I could buy a house with his coins. But just getting closer day by day, but we're not there yet. But the point here is, how do you actually value what one Ethereum is actually worth? I think the answer is that the value of an asset like this is purely a function of what the market price is willing to pay to have the smart contract functionality. So that hopefully is pretty simple, pretty common sense. So then, if we're painting a backdrop of a weaker economy, a slowing economy, then by definition, that should imply a slowing of the demand for smart contracts, right? Just purely, well, lots of people doing business in the market. Maybe lots of houses are being sold, lots of factory, we're all real world assets, all that kind of stuff, everything, bram, bram, bram. But actually, the economy's slowing right now. The demand for those kind of services is weakening. And as a result, what's scary about something like an Ethereum is I've yet to actually figure out exactly what one of these things is worth when you can't give these fucking things away. And, as I said, I've been in this space since over here. So I've watched plenty of these cycles. And of course, I've been in the damn market for 30, 40 years. Nothing's really changed here. I think this is, as a venture capital asset, I think it's an excellent proxy of the venture capital space and a function of the cost of money. And when money is really cheap, money finds its way into venture capital. When money is really expensive, venture capital takes a back seat. It's just the way economy works. And you can't force it. So, the image I wanted to show you earlier, and I think it basically speaks to this market state, is just, what's the cost of money? Now, it's another question as to whether I could actually pull up the actual chart, because I can never remember what the hell I named these things. You think cost of money. I think when I saved it up here, I had cost of money 4-year interest rate cycle. That's an image. I would rather show you the real-time chart, but I'm not getting anything. And I also noticed too, for some reason, TradingView just becomes retarded when we get these YouTube videos going. I have no idea why. So I don't actually think that this is keep in mind, I have like 5 million charts here on TradingView. So something would come up here. It's just TradingView just becomes like almost useless while you're doing these YouTube videos. And I've seen this happen to other people too. So it's certainly not just me. It's just a real shame. This interneting thing is unfortunately getting corrupted, I think, over time. Isn't that a bitch? Can't even show you these charts. Everything has to be preloaded before I even try and have this conversation with you. Oh, well, I tried. If we go over here, this is an older chart, so it's not quite updated. But you've all seen this before. So, crypto came into existence when the cost of money was nothing. And interestingly enough, we even had a cycle there That's your roly-poly-oly reference right there, where we even had a rising interest rate cycle. And yet the powers that be, because the US Federal Reserve Board, in their great wisdom, said, you know what? There's a whole bunch of bad bonds there in the economy. And if we actually let the market do its thing, this will bankrupt the US banking system. So we better do something and go in there and park these bonds that are all garbage, uh, and um, and just put them on the sidelines here and go and inject a whole bunch of money that we really don't have into the system. And let's hope to God nobody says anything. So that was this whole scenario. So while they were carrying those absolutely insane balance sheets of all those bonds, obviously they were going to make damn sure that interest rates were not going anywhere. And this is the interesting thing that I think has actually sort of gotten under JP's skin lately, is that the Taco and his whole crew, and probably more at the leadership of Basant and all those, hedge fund managers, are now publicly coming out and saying, well, the Fed really artificially manipulated the yield curve there over the past 20 years to achieve desired ends in the marketplace. So that's, to a guy like Basant goes, well, that sounds to me like you've created a new mandate for yourself called yield curve control. U.S. Federal Reserve never was given that authority when they were mandate was first put into place. And we all remember Ben Bernanke's face when he first made his quantitative easing pitch to the U.S. Senate. And I remember it distinctly. I mean, he was scared shitless as he did that, because they were clearly going way outside the bounds of their authority with this whole quantitative easing nonsense. So it is interesting to see of late how, and of course, it looks like Trump and that sort of whole cabal have now implanted their specific reporters into Jerry's press conference. And so when the reporter came out and said, oh, well, triple mandate and all that kind of stuff, Jerry's like, what the fuck are you talking about? So interestingly enough, I don't know whether you're a student of the market or whether you even paid attention through all of that, but there is some really interesting jousting going on in the background between these banksters and people like Taco, who would at the very least like the bank to at least tell the truth. Keep in mind the banksters, of course. They will bend the rules as much as possible to their desired outcome. Of course, we all know that. Great reset, Klaus, you will own nothing and be happy. They do this to us once every 80 years. The story goes on. Anyway, so that's through the whole great financial crisis. And as I said, most people, and keep in mind, Bitcoin didn't even exist before all this. Keep in mind, too, there was a whole world. This is the world that I lived, where I was a broker and all that, options broker, commodities broker, stock broker, the whole damn thing. And actually, one of the best trades I ever made was we actually shorted a Canadian copper stock right at the top of the market here, and the copper stocks absolutely collapsed through that great financial crisis nonsense. So most of you watching this video, you don't even really have any great sort of market participation experience prior to the great financial crisis. So, back in this world, we used to always say, you want a guarantee, I'll show you 3%, i.e. what is the prevailing T-bill rate? So now that T-bills, and even now, I don't know whether the U.S. government could actually act as the world hegemony. I think the banksters have still sort of conned the world into thinking that the U.S. is the hegemony, but really the banksters are the world's hegemony. They just happen to be using U.S. Treasuries as their primary collateral. Right? What are we quoting when we quote short-term interest rates? We're quoting, quote, Fed funds rates. Well, what the hell is that? That's actually just a consortium of private banksters. It has nothing to do with the U.S. government. The U.S. Federal Reserve Board has absolutely no legal connection to the United States government. We probably all should understand that fully. And I love Ben Stills. I think that's his name. Piece, you want to go and look up the U.S. Federal Reserve Board, you have to look in the white pages, not the government blue pages, the white pages. So they are a private company, and they, yeah, anyway, we all know. So anyway, the point of the matter here is because of the sickness, I think we had an artificially manipulated market there to take rates down to zero because, frankly speaking, I think all these banksters in collusion, they didn't know what the fuck was going to happen. And the entire sort of Ponzi scheme all seized up, and the only reaction was take rates to zero. It's the only thing we can do. And of course, in that environment, we had people saying things like, "Oh, China's number one." Give me a fucking break. You got to be kidding me. I still can't believe, and it sickens me, but I still have people on the site who are more than comfortable investing in Chinese stocks. And it's like, are you sure you know what you're getting involved in? And I find it hilarious that a company that met all of our screening criteria, beautiful fundamental story. I actually used it as an example, a Chinese stock. When I originally wrote the options module on writing options and carrying positions on margin, and how it was completely financed by the market. And then the CCP comes along and nationalizes the company out of nowhere. And of course, all foreign investors. It's now listed on the Shanghai B exchange, which foreign investors are not allowed to participate in. Basically, they just nationalize the company. So be damn, and you all know what happened to Jack Ma. I wonder if Jack still has testicles. He might have had his testicles removed. I think organ donation in China is a very, very popular vocation. And you better be careful if you're over there. You might just accidentally volunteer to have a body part donated to some CCP leader that wants to live 150 years, eh? I mean, this is like the most Orwellian nightmare possible existing on planet Earth. And yet nobody in the West says boo about this. It's disgusting. No morals, no ethics, all completely out the window. Oh, well, what can you do? So this go around, you notice the blue line's not up here. The blue line's actually down here. So this is a very, very different environment. The last time you saw this kind of environment was actually when Junior Bush was still president, and they were taking rates down in a hurry. Well, actually, excuse me, rates were climbing in a hurry, and then of course all hell broke loose as Junior Bush and all his cronies got the hell out of Washington in a hurry, and great financial crisis. So I think you could argue that we're on the back end of all of this. And now we have to actually sort of go back to sort of what normalization looks like. And unfortunately, with regard to this sine wave, you can see that this sort of friendly period of this inflation conversation that we've been through, it's coming to an end. And the irony of all is that you can see it. It's so obvious. It's staring us in the face. And you can, I mean, it's remarkable how cliche this is. I mean, the Americans right now running a $2 trillion deficit. Like, what the fuck is going on? And, in comparison, in my country, we have people who are theoretically supposed to be sort of outside the system just going, what the hell are you doing? Like literally, this guy's like, what the fuck? Didn't anybody go to economics school? This stupid central bankster crook that's running my country right now? Are you trying to tell me you did not go to economics 101 when you were at University of whatever a million years ago? I mean, come on. This is ridiculous. And yet these people are doing it with a completely straight face. It's absolutely stunning what they're doing. And if anything, in my country, I wouldn't be surprised if a guy like me actually ends up in prison, in jail, donating my organs so this cocksucker can live to 150 years old. That's how fucking Orwellian this society has gotten. It's absolutely insane what's going on here. And if anything, I'm kind of proud that there's someone in my country that's like, what the fuck are you people doing? Stop it. And all you could do is laugh because, an old broker line, we'd say, can't push a chain. We'd just say, hey, if you don't laugh, you'll cry. So you might as well laugh. It's a lot more fun than crying. I mean, it's funny listening to the people. This guy literally said that Canada itself is done. Whatever this clown is doing, this is the end days for this country. Holy shit, that's a pretty damn strong statement to make. Oh, goodness. What can you do? Like I said, the problem is you peel off the skin of the onion and you realize, holy crap, this thing is rotten to the core. And it doesn't surprise me that people created Bitcoin and it's done what it's done and it's worked as a very, very good hedge. The only problem is are you coming in at the end of the move here on Bitcoin? I mean, keep in mind, one of these things was worth nothing. You had clowns that were like internet geeks, no offense, that were mining this thing for pennies on the dollar. And now they're billionaires, probably trillionaires. And it's not really like they really outsmarted the rest of the world. They just happened to be at the right place at the right time and plugging their computers in. I remember one guy we used to have on the site, he would just jokingly laugh. He'd go, oh, I found this old hard drive and I found another 500 Bitcoins that I mined a few years ago, just sitting on this hard drive. Oh, God. Talk about being born under a good sign, right? So I mean, the Bitcoin has done exactly what I think it was supposed to do, and it gave anybody, especially the George Bush Juniors and all those people, it gave them a convenient out, and they totally avoided all of this great resetting. I suppose you could argue to a certain degree, gold is doing its repricing now. I would say though that gold, in my experience, is usually like the last thing to move. So, if anything, the fact that gold is acting the way that it's acting now is, I think, telling you we're in sort of the final phases of whatever this great resetting was all about. It's kind of a shame. Also, notice too, if you are a gold bug, there's some interesting things going on in the background with regard to gold. Larry was actually pointing it out in his video. Pretty good video by Larry, as always. Where can I show you this? Maybe over here. I was looking at commitments to traders reports here for the gold market. It's interesting when you look at like the longer term cycles for gold. Ironically enough, if you did a Foggenbaum off of that like 20-year range, interesting how 4669s were up here at $3,000. And theoretically, the next big jumping spot is all the way up here at 5,500-ish, 877s. Actually, as an interesting side, one reason why I think Bitcoin has probably neared some sort of short-term pivot here, where do I have it? Yeah, over here, is the fact that I did a Foggenbaum off of this consolidation range up top here. What chart is that one? That is, I think we can do it off of this one. So this was following the Fed announcement. So up, down, up, fail. So this, this was following that Fed sort of head fake move kind of idea. And then it started to really break apart. So we do Foggenbaums off of this range, up, down, up, fail. And there's 1.618, 2.618, 4.669. And I thought it was interesting, 877s right down here. And sure enough, doink, right into 877. And usually 877s, like one of our OG futures traders that trades with me on a regular basis in our day trading room. Whenever he has on a scalp, I guess more than a scalp, but a swing trade, maybe, if you will, in the futures markets, and we bang into 877s, he likes to generally just get the hell out, take total profits at that 877. And frankly speaking, what do you think? Is that a half decent trade? Shorting against these highs, and you're taking all profits down here. I think that's a pretty good trade. And if it's in futures and this is like a 3-minute chart, you might as well ring the register and declare victory. And frankly speaking, when I start looking at the momentum indicators, that was, I guess, this kind of image. You can see things are getting washed out here as we've banged into this 78.6. And like I said, there was an 877 off of the original fail way up here. But you can see the divergences are starting to come in on momentum indicators. RSI actually did put in 2 W's in a row, kind of a weak signal right here. Willie was stupidly oversold. So we have location, 786. Do you think Brian likes 786s? We have indicators oversold. Willie, my preferred indicator, RSI oversold. Just waiting at this point when I produced this, these numbers hadn't broken out yet. So we were waiting on indicator confirmation. I think that's actually come in now. Let's see, where do I have that? I guess it would have to be over here. Yeah, there we go. Nope, that's not a real chart. Oh yeah, making fun of Donnie and his. I swear that son of his is not helping at all with his funny statements. He literally got all of the Trump minions, and man, what a fucking heartburn. And of course, the shiny object, I get distracted. Sorry. God, this is how bad Trump and his family are at stock pickers, right? He comes out, oh yeah, I think Ethereum's a great buyer, and just they absolutely got absolutely destroyed. Son of a bitch came out right here, right into the face of a big fat M, and comes out and says, this is a good time to buy Ethereum. Not again. You gotta be kidding me. This guy's cliche. It's ridiculous. So unfortunately, I think I'm gonna have to replicate this now. He's come in and touted to buy it here again. Oh, Jesus. Especially with the way the indicators are all looking like this. Like, what are you, on drugs? That's crazy. Oh, goodness. Anyway, back to Bitcoin. Sorry. I don't know which one I have. I think I had it on here. Yeah. All right. So, whoops. Let's put this back over here. So, up, down, up, breakout. Oh, that momentum divergence confirms. Son of a bitch. So we had a low here, right? That's that low there. And this low here, which is right here. And actually, this is kind of a fun piece. If I was schooling the site members about this. So all you Broiler Chickens fans, and actually put a note of the timestamp of the video that you saw this in the comments, please. Then that way I'll know I got through to somebody. how do you actually determine where this market is actually going to go now that these divergences are starting to confirm? We're getting a confirmation on the MACD div. Hasn't quite confirmed on the RSI div. And of course, that in itself will actually be a W through the 50 line, which actually could be very bullish. But the answer is you actually have to look back to where the divergence actually sort of began. And I get the impression that this divergence, this big bullish divergence, I think it actually began on this failure here. So that's actually up here. So I remember years and years and years ago, we used to study this stuff religiously. And I remember we used to have a rule that just simply said that wherever the divergence, if a divergence that does come in here, the market usually has to go back to where actually the divergence started. I don't know whether it would be here or whether it actually is way, I guess that's up there. So no, yeah, actually I'm comfortable with this peak because that's where the bear div started, right? So actually this is a good example. So you see the bear div comes in here. So where does the market, it's heading higher here. Where does the market have to go now that this div comes in? And you'll notice it actually has to go exactly where the div started, which is like back here, right? That's where the div started. I guess really, well, over here, really. So div plays itself out and market has to come all the way back to where it started. So now that this bullish divergence is actually coming in here, where will this market actually want to go back to? And ironically enough, I think it wants to go back to where this move started. You can see the previous M here and then down, 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 down. So I think that's the extent of the move where it started, which means I could very easily see Bitcoin price have to come right back to this 117, 118 level. And what a surprise, there's reload short zones. And, this was the original Fed kickoff event here, right? So what this is really saying is buy the rumor and then sell the news. But the news move was actually not real. It was divergent. The market's not nearly as strong as or as weak as they're trying to lead you to believe. Now, I don't know whether we have to come back and check this level, but this divergence is huge. I think we have to come back and actually check this level over here, which is all the way back up here. So I do find that interesting. Also, too, we are breaking this downtrend line, and it's been tagged once, twice, 3 times. This is a really good example here where you better not take this trade until there is a W on the other side of this trend line. And sure enough, whoop, shit, no, we're not done yet. Oh boy. Now we've come back to the trend line, consolidated, broke the trend line, came back. And then on this push up here, that's where these divergences are confirming. So now that this MACD div, and this is a 4-hour chart, I think we've actually got the confirmation to print here. Did we, or are we still working this current 4-hour bar? What do we got there? That's pretty damn close, eh? This is, what number is this? Where's all our fun little stuff? This is 194.07, and this is 197. So it did confirm. Good to see. So that's now actually confirmed. That's a confirmed bullish divergence, which means by definition, we can put another check mark. Tell you this, if you're relatively new to trading, just learn this licks concept. It's so simple. So now we've got location, Beamer, she loves his 78.6s. We've got indicators oversold. We've got confirmation of bullish divergence. Now we're on the other side of the trend line. What are we waiting for now? And this is I think super important here. It's interesting too how 1.618 is up against this high. So I do think there's probably a bit of resistance right up in this area, especially all these trap bulls that just like they saw the price melt down following this big wick and went, oh God, just get me the hell out of here, please, please, please. So that's what they're doing right now. But what does S stand for in the licks? Anyone? AMC, that was the name of that theater company. Is it even still in business anymore? You're the only one who answered that, Mr. Insights, if that is your real name, Bart Simpson. OXDAFAT, correct. Structure. And of course, Mr. Insights also said that. So I could actually make an argument. You get, and keep in mind, then, the Wall Street boys, they're probably going to want to try. Adam, what's our line here? Something about that level right there. Oh yeah, don't get me going on all this China D shit here, Gilts. It's a fucking nightmare in this place right now. And it's only gonna get worse. That guy is like, he is so far up Winnie the Pooh's ass. I wouldn't be surprised if I have to get surgery to actually have my eye. Well, no, I better not say stuff like that. Mr. Carney is very, very corrupted by CCP, and it's absolutely disgusting. Anyway, what are we looking for here? So you triggered me there, Guilt. I'm not going to say anything more, or else fucking communist police will be here in a moment. What am I looking for here? What do I want to see? I want to see a W. And as I said there a moment ago, don't be shocked, especially first thing tomorrow morning. Don't be shocked if these are the lows. Now, I think to all intents and purposes, considering location, we're probably near some sort of pivot here. But don't be shocked that they bring this thing back down. Adam, say your line right there. What's that number there? 109,071. Jim and Liz, if you want to help them, you can be right across the street. Candle body lows for trade location. So don't be shocked if you happen to see this thing pull back here a bit. But if we get any kind of W over here, I think we get ourselves a nice buy signal. Now, how deep and how far does this buy go? I don't know. My hunch is probably 38.2 to 50% retracement up into these wicks. There's a whole bunch of trap bulls, of course, up here that would love to get released. Candle body highs and lows for trade location, probably 13,005. And then also notice too, and I don't know whether this low is going to hold here. It might not. Tough to say. But if this W does hold, then you can see, 877 up against this old high to high trend line. This trend line's been working for quite some time. I think that is a very important line to the market right up in here. And then the failure off of that level, I think, is huge. So I think this is a very, very important trend line here. And also too, notice this is also a down trend line off the top, and good old mountain man sitting there, liquidity pool. So some sort of move up into this area would not surprise me one bit. So that's kind of what I'm thinking here. And the sentiment in this space here right now is absolutely horrific. You would have thought a nuclear bomb had gone off in crypto space. And to a certain degree, if you look at the total, it has. And you look at things like Ethereum. And also to remember, and I think this is super important for us to keep in mind, we're not in the crypto is a commodity. So I'm just going to close the window here. It's getting a bit chilly. How quickly the weather turns, we're not in the crypto is a commodity. So the market is desperate for commodities as a hedge against price inflation atmosphere anymore, as far as I'm concerned. I think Bitcoin will do its job. And, I think at best, maybe gold tops out around 5 Gs. That would be a big fat round number. It would make sense. Can Bitcoin rally a bit higher here? Somebody got all pissed off at me, calling me a hypocrite and stuff. Look at these are just roadmaps, and this is what I'm hoping for, and this is what I'd like to see it. But if the market doesn't want to do it, well, the market's not going to fucking do it. It's simple as that. Is my $400,000 price target here still on the table? I don't know. I mean, Allen's robot said that we were going to hit 400,000 in early November. Maybe, I mean, ironically enough, from a trending perspective, the moving averages are still pointing bullish. And as long as we don't take these lows out, most Wall Street people are just going to see successive higher highs and higher lows. So I don't know what's going to happen here. I just don't know. And it's not my job to predict the future. All I'll say here is we're awfully late in this cycle. Bitcoin usually likes to finish its cycles with sort of some horrendous blow off top. And, Allen's robot is Allen's robot. Isn't that supposed to be much smarter than 10 of, clowns like me put together? I don't know. So we'll see what this blow off top looks like. And of course, like I said, you might see gold, when we were just looking at gold there a second ago, but you might see gold have some sort of insane blow off top into these events. But there are little tells underneath that there are problems. So, ironically enough, if I was a technician and I saw the fact that we hit 1.618 alt ABCD levels, well, any longtime follower of me knows exactly what I'm thinking there. And then, oh, interesting. This also just so happens to be the top of a parking garage, right up in there, 200% range extension. Well, you all should respect that this is not the beginning of the move. This is the end of the move. Now, sort of a tell that, you know what, maybe this is getting near the end of the move. This is a Commitment to Traders Reports brought to you by Mr. Bart Simpson. I noticed that this weekend. I was like, son of a bitch, I totally forgot that was your script. Still don't know what the guy's real name is, but I guess I'll remember to my deathbed some guy named Glass Insights. Anyway, so if you ever hear me talking about Bart Simpson here in the Zoom call, he's almost on all of the Zoom calls. And this is his script. It helped me a lot because the original script that we had to cover the commitments to traders, it got deprecated. I'm not sure what the right word is. But anyway, back to the story. So green line are the large specs, and they facilitate the trade for the teal line, who are the commercials, or the people that are in the business. And remember, the people that are in the business, they use hedging instruments to just get rid of price risk. I'm not going to go into the whole mechanics of how hedging industry works. Just the simple principle here is as long as they are trending lower and they are getting more short, then that's bullish. If they actually, and I think the real tell here was you can see industry was kind of humming and hawing here way back last century, right? We don't know what we want to do, but you can clearly see industry turned very bearish, which is bullish for price, and large specs facilitating the trade for industry. They have no choice but to get long, and they have no choice but to make money in the bull market. What a nice convenient coincidence. Notice here, though, that as soon as the commercials started saying, you know what, maybe we don't want to be so short anymore, and let's cover those shorts and let's take the hedges off, you notice that price had to back down. And the trend in this market will shift when these two market participants switch sides. So you notice commercials heavily negative and we said they do the exact opposite of trend, and large specs positive. They facilitate the trade for the commercials, and by definition, they are forced to be on the right side of the trend. And you can see they even had a moment here in 2018 where they kind of went, all right, are we going to turn structurally here? And keep in mind, this is my 17 and a half year fear greed cycle apex. This is actually, ironically enough, exactly where they were supposed to change. And then, of course, we went into the insanity of the sickness world. I don't know how else to explain this. But anyway, the point of the matter here is nope, trend is still up. And look at price go. Large specs, still bullish, facilitating the trade for the commercials. Goldman Sachs, Merrill Lynch, Joey Diamonds, all making money like crazy. Then you notice commercials, maybe not so bullish. Well, let's maybe take some positions off. And the large specs facilitating the trade, they get less long here. And what does price do? It consolidates. Then the trend starts to turn back. Commercials, all right, we're bullish. So it was interesting, and hopefully you understand now how this works. But it was interesting to see how something happened here through 2025 that actually caused the commercials to second guess themselves. Now, I think that they're trying to reestablish those shorts and reestablish the trend. But I can tell you for certain, if this does not break these lows and we start actually turning back up, and I think the writing's on the walls. You can clearly see the large specs. They're actually working a unwinding of long positions right now. And the commercials are unwinding of short positions. Now, just recently, they've sort of checked themselves. Oh, maybe the trend is still lower, which means maybe price is still higher. But this is basically the concept of divergence from an institutional commitments perspective. Price is moving higher, but something's not right with the large specs and the commercials. Something's disconnected here. Doesn't necessarily mean that the trade is done, but it does definitely means that the writing's on the walls. We should probably watch this over the next couple months. And, given the fact that we've already hit top of parking garages, we've already hit bought super aggressive alt ABCD 1.618 objectives. This is now officially, if we move higher here, we are in blow off top phase. And this blow off top could be pretty crazy. If we think parking garage, next parking garage level is way up here. And notice that's a 4669 and it's also an 877. I am not in the business of predicting the future. What I'm in the business of is trying to identify edge. I see absolutely no reason to justify a short here. What I would just simply say is, let's watch the data here. Are the institutional players kind of suggesting to us that they're not nearly as bullish as the public, of course, would be? And what do you think the public's thinking here about gold right now? Rah, rah, bull, 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 right? So that kind of jumped out at me. Again, it was something that Larry made reference to in his video. I'm not going to show you Larry's projection of cycles, because frankly speaking, if you are a gold bug, you don't want to see that image. And sadly, he has basically the same image for Bitcoin. Things could get a little challenging here, folks. So just be aware. And this is the kind of backdrop where I'm supposed to sit here and go, oh yeah, that's a buy. Oh, that's a buy. Oh, that's a buy. Yeah, go and buy that. You'll make lots of money. And I look at this kind of market and I go, I don't know, that's not exactly where I want to be invested. And the interesting thing, thinking the opposite of the gold market, are there any tells. I mean, I'd just be curious. Let's see if any of you students of mine remember this. If gold is going up, what commodity should we expect? And you can even just use the general category. What commodity sector should we expect to be not doing well? And then vice versa. No, wrong. And then vice versa. If we see that maybe gold is going absolutely crazy and maybe it's near a pivot, is there a certain commodity or market that might actually be showing signs of bottoming? And if it is showing signs of bottoming, that might be a bit of a warning to us that, hey, maybe the gold and gold type proxies in the marketplace, Bitcoin, might have a bit of a hard time. Excellent, Norray. Nailed it. You don't have to take it back, Alexa. I mean, you tried. If anything, own the wrongness. Point out your journal. If gold is going up, then odds are energy is going down. And the irony of it all is if energy is looking like it's bottoming and it's starting to rally, what should we be thinking about things like gold? So the question then becomes, well, what the hell are these damn energy things doing? And are they looking like maybe they want to get going here? The good part about it is you don't really reinvent the wheel here. It's all pretty straightforward. If we look at how about the biggest oil stock in the world, Exxon Mobil? Not a bad proxy in the space, I suppose. Oh, look how slow TradingView is. Come on, TradingView. Why the fuck are you like this? Makes no sense. There's nothing I can seem to do to stop this. It's just whenever we do these YouTube videos, this stuff just, man, there you go. Way to go. You made it. So, I mean, look at this chart. We're looking at like a monthly chart. You tell me, does this look like it's starting to point back up? Or maybe not. Damn it. It's so frustrating. There you go. Does that not look, I mean, look at the momentum picture here. Uh-oh. Nothing really out of Willie though. The RSIs maybe look a little washy-washy. That kind of looks like a bull flag to me. And actually, when I saw it on the daily charts, maybe that's not nearly as compelling. When I saw this, I was like, oh boy, that sure as hell looks like a lot of W's. And look at these indicators all pointing up. Oh boy. One of my favorite oil stocks is your friend and mine, Dick Cheney. I don't know whether any of you remember him. But back into the Bill Clinton days, he was the president and CEO of this company. And then, of course, we all know Junior Bush's administration and his funness. And did they manipulate the price of oil a little bit? You tell me. Look at the Exxon's relative performance, especially relative performance studies. Man, they are so valuable. No, this is not some stupid Indian stock. I don't know why the hell TradingView does that. I would imagine, ironically enough, because there are so many Indians that there's probably more users of TradingView in India than there are in the United States, just because there's so many of them. Anyway, let's see. Can we look at that chart? Oh, Jesus. That's bullish. There's no way to fight that. And it's getting a little bit overbought here, eh? We're not quite stupid, but we're getting damn close. So you can't even chase that now. So hopefully we get some sort of pullback to get in on this thing. But I'm just seeing all these damn energy names are all starting to firm up. And even names in my country, and keep in mind my country is heavily energy dependent, even though the silly Rothschild puppet leader wants to kill the oil business in my country. What a stupid idiot. But Imperial Oil is one of the biggest oil stocks in Canada. Actually, it has a US proxy. It'd be interesting to see what that looks like. Might have gone a little overdone. So I do think that oil and energy is actually starting to reprice itself. And unfortunately, of course, that's not going to help the inflation story. Half of the reason, yeah, look at that damn thing. It's just been grinding higher here. Don't really have a sell signal here, but you can see this is that's been in one hell of a bull run here, right? So I mean, I suppose I could just show you, and I already have these charts up here, so it should be good. Where are we here? There's the crude, but I thought I had weekly. Yeah, here we are. So this is the weekly price chart. Crude W. Heating oil. Unleaded gasoline gonna put in a W. And natural gas. Does it look like it's putting in a W? Another interesting thing on the natural gas front is I am uber bullish of these alternative fuel stocks now. And another proxy that energy might be coming more scarce in demand, people scrambling for alternatives. What letter of the alphabet do you see on that screen there? Can anybody help me? And look at the indicators. Oh my goodness. But put the indicators away for now. I don't know. Can anybody see a particular letter of the alphabet that we kind of like? The National Association of Something Lovers. And actually, that brings me to a stock that I think I want to buy tomorrow morning. This EVGN. These guys are in the alternative fuel space. They make natural gas, but they make natural gas out of old crop refuse, garbage sites, all that kind of stuff. So politically correct. I mean, absolutely politically correct. And of course, they just restructured the company. Insiders have piled in from 60 cents. There's only 22 million shares out. The insiders own about maybe about 10% of the company from 60 cents. And they just got a big government contract from the government of China to basically subsidize their unprofitable business. But because it's politically correct, this is this crony capitalism world that we live in. And I tell you, man, considering like all of these alternative fuel stocks, I'm long a bucket load of Ballard. This is basically the same thing. These guys are in the nitrogen business or hydrogen. I can't remember. Nice cup and handle pattern. Oh yeah, you can see the chart finally loading. So pretty chart. But you tell me, does a name like this have any room to come back here? And keep in mind, most of these energy names, they've been falling as this sort of, Fed tightening rates, inflation's coming down. Has this thing got any room to perform here? Can you see how much potential there is in a story like this? I mean, fuck. You want your cryptocurrency stories to look like that. And, we look at the fuel cell, same thing. You look at these long-term charts and man, they got money written all over them, especially with that massive monthly W. This one, of course, they just restructured it. So all the old shareholders got wiped out. But you tell me, any room for that stock to move up here at all on a relative basis? Keep in mind the damn stock is at 790. The old highs were $800 a share. I mean, we're not likely to see those again, but I could very easily see this thing get back up into these areas. So, but this is all energy, right? And then, you look at the big gold stocks and do I have any business whatsoever coming in on the buy side on something like Newmont that's done that? I mean, I miss the fucking buy window like crazy, kicking myself every day. But can I come in and buy something that looks like that? So your gold looks like that, but your energy looks the exact opposite. And the interesting thing, with regard to the stock market is there are some tells in the stock market that it's not happy because of what energy is doing. So this is our beloved Dow theory. And if the transports, which are heavily energy sensitive, they will start to sniff out these companies that are in the business. If you're in a trucking business, you still are pretty much dependent on the price of gasoline or diesel or whatever. And they're very sensitive to, oh shit, is the trend in crude oil changing? And this is Mr. Dow himself over 100 years ago. If you see the industrials pressing to new highs, but you see the transports cannot, this is a Dow theory sell signal. There is trouble brewing. And then, what I'd also say too is if energy prices are going to firm here, obviously that's not going to help the inflation problem. What you hear about going on in Eastern Europe right now, that doesn't look like it's decelerating. That sounds to me like it's accelerating. Situation in Eastern Europe is going to get a hell of a lot worse before it gets any better. So you can't make an argument there's a whole bunch of friendliness going on there. And of course, the Jews are more than happy to go and bomb countries at leisure if they think that their sovereignty is at stake. So the tension in the Middle East ain't going down anytime soon. And now Donnie wants to do things like tariff countries and isolate countries for buying energy products from these questionable participants in the marketplace. The situation's not getting better. Maybe it's not getting worse, but it's certainly not getting better. And the problem here, of course, is that we've actually gone through a period where energy prices have been relatively weak, have been relatively calm. I mean, look how long crude oil prices have been trending lower here. This is a weekly price chart. Is this maybe due? I mean, look at that damn heating oil chart. That scares the hell out of me when I see a chart like that. Or if I'm thinking about investing, I might want to go and buy something that's heating oil related. And of course, as I told you, with regard to natural gas, I'm actually turning rather bullish of that space. You want to look at nukes as another proxy in this space. What I find hilarious is some of the designer nuclear stocks, they're just going absolutely insane. Actually, we should check in on Synovus because Synovus is the biggest natural gas player in my country. This used to be called, what was the name of it? Enron? No. A name that was similar to that. But of course, come on, TradingView, don't do this to us. There we go. Anyway, this guy used to be the darling of the entire natural gas space forever and ever and ever. I don't know. Geez, that looks like it's just going straight up here. Obviously, you can't chase that. Maybe there was like inverted head and shoulders as is here pointing higher. But I did notice that things like the nuke stocks, man, they are strong as hell right now. And all the uranium plays as another proxy on the energy space. Where the hell do I have all those guys? Let's see if we can find it. Just typing in the symbol. Denison is one of my nuke stocks, uraniums. DM Denison Mine DML. I think that's what it is. Denison Mines. There it is. So is this bullish or a bearish chart? Oh, there it is right there. Yeah. I mean, this is so let's wait for TradingView. Come on, TradingView. Come on. You can do it. You can do it. Encanna. Thank you, WAG. That's showing my age. I am such an old fart. Can't remember anything. Anyway, I would show you Denison, but TradingView just doesn't seem to want. Hey, there we go. I don't know. You tell me, does that look like a bull market? Holy crap. You can't chase that there. And then, this one's great. This is like a designer nuclear firm. So I think if energy is coming into the fore, we should also be thinking about where we are on the economic cycle. I think we're heading into this kind of environment here. I think the previous cycle, the fund managers and stuff, it kind of predicted that we were in this part of the cycle, but I think we're moving slowly into this part of the cycle. So things like industrials should do better, materials, I suppose your gold market's doing well there. And there, of course, is energy. And I think energy for prices are firming up here. Where was that? Look at that designer nuclear stock. Holy crap on a stick. And I'm long this thing. I'm almost embarrassed to say we were loading up on this thing down here. So actually, no, that's not true. I think it was down here. I mean, I've been in this thing forever. Banged out lots of doubles. I think the last double we got here. So my next double is up in like the $26 area. But you tell me, am I a pretty happy camper? But these guys are in the nuclear design, that part of the economy. And here's another nuke proxy uranium royalty trust units that I'm long from way down below. Where am I long from? $2. So here we are, 4.25. I should probably be banging out doubles here, shouldn't I? But does that look like a bear market? No. Something's not right here with energy right now. It's getting a little bothersome. And the problem here, I mean, I can't chase that. I can't buy that there, obviously. But I think it's an interesting proxy in that energy related names are getting bid up here. So I guess, and then on the flip side, are there spaces that would be very sensitive to rising energy prices? And do they need to maybe calm down a little bit? All right, and here's good old things like AMD as a semiconductor play. Did find it interesting that this latest rally up top here, we kind of ran into a brick wall of selling. I'm not quite sure why. And tons of gaps to be filled in on the downside here, which is a bit scary. And then I'd also might argue, so things like, and really the best thing to do in the semiconductors is look at the stocks. So as this SOX maybe gone a little too far, a little too fast, maybe it needs to calm down here a little bit. And if we had a, you can see I'm already pricing out the bear put spreads because I think there is a short trade here developing. But would this make sense that this market has to come back down if energy prices start moving up? And the answer, of course, anybody who's followed me over the years knows that really energy and technology are inversely correlated. Because if a purchasing manager has the choice, energy or investing in Microsoft's latest software package or whatever, if they don't have any choice with energy, if energy prices are high, then the budget's got to go towards filling up the gas tanks, got to go towards having the lights on, keeping the workers warm in the wintertime, right? You saw that heating oil chart. That looks a little bothersome. So in times when energy prices are rising, purchasing managers have to take money out of their budgets. And usually they take it out of sort of, well, we're going to invest in this technology package to improve worker productivity. And of course, that drives profits. Well, if energy prices are rising, then we can't invest in that new software package that we really wanted to. And that's just the way the market works. Don't fight it, right? It's just, and so what you might find is if energy prices start trending higher here over the next 6-8 months, it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. It's not really like that stocks suck. It's just that inflation's back on the uptick, and purchasing managers have to take money from somewhere, and so they often take it from the easiest source. And if that's technology budgets, then so be it. And if we look at some of these stock indexes, I think the writing's on the walls. So, of course, we got the January barometer. Oh, Jesus. Something tells me back in January, the traders were a little bit worried about what the end of this year was going to look like. And oh, crap, here we are, folks. Be forewarned. But what I wanted to show you was something like the small caps. Again, they will be very energy price sensitive. Is this move not coming to an end? kind of looks to me like this move, if we did top out here and we had to come down and do 38.2s, 50%, fill in all these gaps, nobody in this audience should be surprised that that had to happen. And the weird thing is that the public will come out just about the time we do things like 20, maybe 25% corrections from the peak. And then they'll start talking about, oh, it's a crash, it's the end of the world. So, yeah, ironically enough, 20% correction here does nothing more than just bring us back down to where we were in the spring. So, and ironically enough, we had our, of course, our eclipse window here and our eclipse window here. And I would actually make the argument the most logical and simplest thing for this market to do is a 50% retracement, WD GAN 101. And that says we come back here. So if we did do some sort of correction, I don't even think we do that. I think all we're going to do is, simple things like Ray Burchett's barbecue level and all that kind of talk. Come back down. I could see nice freak out lows against these lows and against the original head and shoulder. Fill in all of these gaps here. The media will be talking about how it's the end of the world. It will be painted as at least a 10% correction in the small caps. And yet all it is just a healthy correction that's going on here, folks. It might look like this, boosh. Might look like this, boosh. Might look like this, boosh. But you can see, I mean, they're expecting something. And what is it? Today's the 28th. According to this study, something's about to hit the fan here in the next week. So get ready. I have no idea what it is, but the writing's on the walls. Nobody here can say that you weren't warned. Whether it be January barometer, whether it be Dow theory, there's a lot of warnings here, folks. There really are. And, I suppose the coup de grace to all this is we're coming into 4-year cycle apex events here on Yule Bitcoin. All right, blah, blah, blah. I don't know whether you got any value out of this. I sure hope I'm making a positive difference in some of your lives. Can't really talk too much about bullishness in the crypto space right now, given that we are so close to the end of this cycle. I told all the audience recently, behind the paywall, that kind of fun stuff. I'm done sort of any buying in the crypto space, and now I'm on a forced liquidation plan. So any sort of rallies in through this cycle event window over the next couple months, I will be looking at that as a exit opportunity, not an entry opportunity. Yeah, probably that 9 energy. Remember that USEG that I was barking about? That silly thing's been cranking higher here. So Adam happens to like another little junior. I can't really comment too much on this one in particular. What is it? NNE. I do remember though that it was very, very popular back. Was that about 6-8 months ago? So I probably, V tops, V bottoms. Is that it right there? NNE, nano nuclear energy. Oh boy, that sounds sexy. Well, maybe a bullish bot. Who knows? Is that for real? Oh, man, what a mess. I don't know. I couldn't touch something that looked like that right there. But you know me. I'm a chicken by nature. All right. I think what we ought to do here is head on over to the Q&A document and wind this up in the next 10, 15 minutes and send you people on your way. As I said, are there names that I am interested in the market? Well, this is kind of boring. 22 million shares out. Options to directors at 60 cents. So this is a name I'm interested in, but it is so far away from crypto, it doesn't even know what crypto is. So I'm not investing in crypto now at all. I'm sorry, folks. I'm just not. Now let's head on over to that Q&A document and see if we can address those questions. And then I would ask that you all wish Liam and I best of wishes. Car's got new shoes, so he's feeling pretty good. And the car's feeling pretty good. So anyway, your best wishes on the road are always greatly appreciated. All right. So number one on the questions this week. And then Bridgeforce has oh my goodness, quite a list. All right, number one, Brian, you keep mentioning the January barometer, but where did you get this chart from? And where does the data on the chart come from? All right. I just create the chart literally January 1st. Don't overthink this stuff. Not that page. Which one is it? Over here. Yeah. So all I do is I watch the price action from the month of January. That's what this is. January 2nd, January 10th, 17th, 27th, 31st. And then I just literally take a line study, right? You can go, where is it? Bar pattern, right? And I'll just go boom, January 1st, all the way to December 31st. There is the study. Then I copy it and I go over here and I press paste. And that is basically what that white line is. And you can even change this to a line, make it easier for you to see. High low bars, line. Oh, no, I guess we'll do the high. Well, we'll just do close. That's probably easiest. There we go. Change that to white. And that's basically what that study is. Then stretch the year out for the full year. Put January 1 right over top of January 2nd and just stretch it out to go to December 31st. And then this is just a chart of the S&P 500 overlaid. Just that simple. And this is just a study that I happened to overlay. I was thinking this was Elliott wave. Doesn't have to be. Oh, that's not what I wanted to do. I'm going to pick the silly Elliott wave study without moving it. There we go. So really all that is just overlaid. Just that simple. Don't overthink this stuff. And, just Google January barometer. In the level 3 program, we do a module specifically on trading seasonality. And of course, we go through the Stock Traders Almanac, which is where, of course, I first learned about this a million years ago. So you can Google Stock Traders Almanac. They'll do plenty of write-ups, and that's sort of our Bible when it comes to the stock market and seasonal nature and seasonal patterns. They do all the number crunching. And needless to say, January barometer is a pretty handy tool. Would that have been a handy tool to keep you honest through this year? I think so. The study really speaks for itself. I don't need to add anything to this conversation. You should look at that and go, holy shit, that's ridiculous. So anyway, hopefully that answers that question. And I'll even copy this. And my suggestion to you is just simply see if you can replicate this study yourself. And you will have this as a tool in your tool belt for the rest of your days. It's not rocket science. It's not, don't overthink this stuff. Really all it is, what are the traders thinking that the year is going to look like? Quite often, the month of January, they express that behavior. Start the market off right out of the gate, super optimistic or super pessimistic. And as the month sort of progresses, we get an idea of what their sort of temperament is and expectations for the year. Pretty straightforward. I'm just going to say, walked through how to create this study for yourself. We'll just do that. Oh, how do I move that over? Well, I'll just go There. All right. Number 2 from Mr. Bridgeforth. Hi, Brian. You have mentioned that you don't like what you are seeing on the charts right now. Yeah, not really. And that your advice to the public is to not enter the market right now. Yeah, definitely. Unless, of course, you're buying puts. But you also said, question 1, if you are long, follow whatever reasoning there was to get long originally. Yeah. I mean, really, this is the whole point of this is opinions, and this is the same thing I said to some clown on the internet. Opinions are worthless, including Brian's opinion. Don't get me wrong. I mean, everybody has opinions. They're all usually brown and kind of stink. But everybody's got an opinion, and thank God we don't live in a Winnie the Pooh world or a Vladimir Putin world. At least we're allowed to have an opinion. I don't know how much longer that's going to last in my country. I could very easily see these. In fact, I hate to say it, but you can see what Donnie's doing down in the States. He is literally making it illegal for U.S. citizens to have an opinion. That's scary shit what this cocksucker's doing. That's not supposed to happen in the West. What a son of a bitch. That's the whole reason why our economy and our society works as well as it does, is people are free to be allowed to have their opinions. And he is clawing that shit back on you Americans. Adam, you got to stand up. Yeah, there's nothing I can do. That son of a bitch is literally going to make it illegal for guys like me to even visit the United States unless I bring my checkbook. But don't get me wrong, it's just as bad in my country. This might actually be the age of the end of democracy, the end of freedom of speech. We could very easily be living in this age here, folks. That's how dangerous the environment that we're in. So, back to what I said there a moment ago. I mean, everybody's entitled to their opinion, at least for the time being. Once we get to the point where your opinion is you're not entitled to have an opinion, then for fuck's sakes, don't go and invest your money, bury your money in the fucking backyard, or just go buy a gold brick or something and just forget about it, because that means that capitalism, to all intents and purposes, is over. And ironically enough, it actually makes the case to invest in companies like that one that I was telling you about, because this isn't really capitalism. This is crony capitalism, what's going on, where government contracts are actually what the only thing that keeps you alive here, right? And of course, Soviet Union. Ironically enough, and I've said this repeatedly, but I don't think it resonates very well with the public. What country in this world is actually the biggest socialist country in the world? You get one guess. No. There will be no speeding with my baby in the car. No, you're wrong, TBG. That's right, Glass Insights. What is the biggest socialist country in the world? Come on, you YouTubers. I'm not saying a damn thing until you all admit to this. What is the biggest socialist country in the world right now? Come on, you Americans. The United States of America is the biggest socialist country in the world. Why? How do you define socialism? China is only 1/10 the size of the United States. So how could that be, Karim? Like literally, the biggest employer in the world is the U.S. government. How? And the irony of it all is that you U.S. citizens, you have almost no government at all, no government supports, no social safety net, nothing. And yet the U.S. government is the biggest employer in the world. And that's the Department of Defense in the United States. They have the biggest checkbook and they cut checks. So If you happen to work in the US government, well, ironically enough, you're a socialist. Jim and Liz, you don't even realize it. Yeah, and you're not even allowed to call it defense. Now it's why the hell did they go that direction? Glass Insights is like it's a Department of War. Why would Donnie poo-poo this? Shouldn't it be called the Department of Murder? I mean, really, shouldn't that what it be called? Is war not basically legalized murder? And didn't our good Lord thousands of years ago get some guy to stand up with big stone blocks? And maybe the leadership of Israel should be reminded of this. What's the very first order on that 10 commandments list that we were theoretically given straight from God, from Israel's God? And yet nobody seems to give a fuck these days about the absolute insane amount of murdering that's going on. We humans are slaughtering each other. I mean, God, you see what's going on in Eastern Europe, and nobody seems to be saying boo. Millions of people being murdered, and nobody seems to give a shit. It's pathetic species. All right, back on to what I'm supposed to be talking about here. Sorry about that. Follow the reasons why you're supposed to be long. Remember the whole point of this, right? Was supposed to be trading your plan. Oh, look at that. A few people all of a sudden dropped out. Oh, I don't want to listen to this idiot. Yeah, so, why did you buy this crypto shit to begin with? Why are you investing? So I got long in expectation of a few weeks of parabolic growth in crypto. Well, that's basically like saying I went to Vegas and I betted because I thought that this slot machine was due. Okay, but that's sort of what you're investing in. But I mean, if you're a speculator, okay, great. That's basically what you're telling me here is you're a speculator. So if that's the case, then let me ask the YouTube audience after what I just simply said there. Should you be speculating in the market about your opinions? Is that a potion for success? I got to get going here in the next 10 minutes, so I got to wind this up. Anyone? Should you be in the market investing your hard-earned money based on your opinions? The answer, an unequivocal no. So what should you be doing based on this Brian Beamish guy's education? Remember, I'm here to help you. Opinions are worthless, but what is priceless? Can anybody help me there? Something is absolutely priceless. You can't put a value on it. It is so fucking valuable. Thank you, TBG. TBG, our disciple of best practices. For God's sakes, learn the process. No, Joe. Thank you, Nore. Nore, can you please reach out to Joe? Trade setups. That's the whole point of your trading plan. So you're supposed to go in your strategic vision and outline why you're doing this. And there's nothing wrong with this as a motivation, but don't get me wrong. This is not an investor statement. This is clearly a speculator statement. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. So, like you said here, if you like the idea from an investment perspective, then why should that change? What were your reasons why you got into this investment idea to begin with? And your answer is if we are not likely going to get a parabolic blow off top. What? I got long in expectation of a few weeks of parabolic growth in crypto. If we are not likely going to get a parabolic blow off top, what? I don't quite understand that. What was your setup? Did you have 3 unrelated reasons to justify taking the trade? Are you like a little old lady? And if that's the case, then you might sit on assets. Remember, what is Wall Street's? Let's see if anybody can help this person in the chat. What are Wall Street? Every single recommendation you ever see come out of Wall Street, they always have this one line. Investors should have an X to X time horizon for this event, and it's always the same. Yes, this is, but that, well, 3 to 5 years, Norray. Norray is even being more cautious, and he says 4 to 5 years. That's just a fact. So that's sort of why we speak to like little old ladies. They're not in a big hurry. They want to invest in names and they want to be diversified. So if the name does blow up, well, they're not toast. They still got another 19 other votes in their portfolio to keep them alive. But at the same time, too, they're out, playing canasta, gardening in the garden. Not all they care is they just want to make damn sure their account doesn't go anywhere. So, and then of course, when market does come to life, which is usually they're completely busy doing something else, they get a call from Brian. Oh, hey, one of our names just popped. We should probably let half of it go on a double just to get that free position. They go, okay, go ahead, Brian. That sounds like a good idea. Boom, done. That's what little old ladies do. And I don't know whether a lot of you are even little old ladies. You con yourself into thinking little old ladies. All right. So if through the bull you have been given the opportunity to pay yourself for your efforts, then why didn't you? Right? That's sell halves on doubles, all that kind of fun stuff. I have been, but there is still a lot of my own capital in the market. Okay. I have always assumed, never assume anything in this world, in real estate, that if I own a property and an offer is on the table and I turn that offer down, then in the act of turning down the offer, I am choosing to purchase my own property back at that price. Yeah, that's not a bad idea. In that moment, the beauty and the curse of crypto and stocks is that there is always an offer on the table. And of course, that is why we try and take emotion out of it. That's right, trade your setups. So I'm asking for you to read a few fundamental style tea leaves for us, I suppose. Well, I just spent the past couple hours doing that. Unfortunately, you guys didn't. I mean, I would imagine most of you probably don't like the message that you're hearing. I see you hinting at a giant dead cat bounce in your post from X and in the lounge. Well, giant, maybe be careful with that word. I do think that the market is a bit oversold here on the lower time frames. I mean, you saw that post FOMC trade. That was kind of ridiculous. The market just kept going and going and going and hit 877. So that in itself probably tells me that move's probably getting done. Do you still see a parabolic top possibly in October? Possibly. Yeah, I can definitely throw the word possibly in there. And as I've said repeatedly over this past probably few months, I wouldn't be surprised if this silliness goes right on into the end of the year. And Alan's computer says November 2nd top on Bitcoin. If that's close to October 20th, I could live with that. Is Alan completely proven wrong? Maybe. Should be interesting to see how social media handles that. But my hunch is he's probably right, and he probably is on the inside of what their plan is. And we said with the gold market, it is going parabolic right now, so I wouldn't get in front of that. It sounds like you are saying yes and no to the idea because you're not sure. Yeah, really. I don't want to be cornered into saying, Brian, what exactly is going to happen? Because frankly speaking, nobody knows what the fuck's going to happen. But if not October, what are your thoughts about the cycle extending into the first quarter of 26? I'm not really a big fan of that. And, this reminds me of when I was down in El Salvador, and we were sitting there talking to a couple cokeheads who were all uber insanely bullish about H bar. And yet, really, they didn't know what the fuck they were doing in the market. And, we were doing videos about the market so awesome. And then you had Gucci sweater wearers coming out and talking about, oh, buying Bitcoin and making money, and it's really easy. I got a funny feeling we have to go through that kind of phase. And you saw what's his face, Trump Jr. saying the fourth quarter will be insane for crypto. So my hunch is there's some sort of top through this next few months. Am I going to be able to pick the exact date of the top ahead of time? No. But in hindsight, will we see it, and will it be blatantly obvious in hindsight? Yes. But the market's going to top when the market tops. And no, I don't want to get into the business of telling you, well, at exactly 8:17 on Thursday, the 27th of beep, the market will top. I'm not going to get into that business. I'm sorry. I'm just not. In other words, are we entering a bear without a blow off top? We might, we might, but, we'll just see. Time will tell. In a bull, I know there can be extreme volatility in crypto. What I am hearing from the public and fear mongers is BTC to 95K. Yeah, that might happen as well. And ETH back down to 2,500. Doesn't seem unrealistic. And there are other people saying opposite things, like Ivan on tech, like we are going to the moon. Even the fact that everyone is so far into fear on the fear and greed index right now, currently 34, makes me think that it must be a bull coming because the crowd is usually wrong. Yeah, one thing you can absolutely depend on in this space is insane volatility and, unfortunately, a lot of emotion tied up in this. And frankly speaking, I just don't want to even be involved in that.
Recording stopped.
Oh, there's 2 hours. Interesting point to end on this. So I'll just finish off with quickly reading this. I've given you my thoughts. I don't think I need to make this any clearer. No, you're not going to paint me into a corner giving you a specific forecast. I'm just going to simply say, trade your plan, trade your setups. And if your setups fail, then get the fuck out, obey risk management. So, but I can be out of crypto, as can pretty much all of the rest of your listeners, sitting in cash at any time. So what kind of tea leaf advice do you see in the future for crypto this cycle? Well, I think I've outlined that completely through the rest of this whole broadcast. Would a wise adoption be for a dead cat bounce be to not sell half on a double, but sell everything, or maybe 90% of everything on a double? It's not a bad idea. It sounds to me like you're playing with money that you can't really afford to lose. So that's my gut feeling here. And this is a very, very dangerous market state. That's really the bottom line to all this. Doesn't necessarily mean it can't go higher, but it definitely means that we are nowhere near the bottom. And the market's going to do whatever the hell it wants, but don't put yourself into a position that if the market goes down, you're toast, right? That's my advice to you, which really sucks, right? And finally, you mentioned that BTC was headed towards 117, 118. Yeah, I could see that. But is that the likely end of the cycle for BTC? You all mentioned that Must AI said 400K by November. Yeah. We're only going to see, only time will tell. And you're not going to be able to get me to go, yeah, this is guaranteed to happen. There's no way in hell I'll make a statement like that. And I know somebody's going to cut the video to make it sound like I just said that. But you all listening, you know exactly what I just said. So since we would be in a blow off top phase, how would you take these profits? Is selling half on a double aggressive enough of a strategy, or just take 20% a week off the table? Really, from my perspective, I just want to get a risk-free position, and the rest I don't really care about. And if I had done that with my original stake, I would still be long all of these coins from like nothing. But my business partners forced my hand, which is a bit tacky, but it is what it is. And I am leaving this company, and the crypto portfolios that I'm managing are the company's portfolios. So really, I'm just leaving it in the quote unquote team's hands. If they want to hold on to this crypto stuff after January 1st, great. They've got the green light. I don't really care. Just market to market, and I take my payout on whatever that number is. If they want to just go straight to cash, no, let's just pay this out and get you the fuck out of here, Brian. And we don't want to see this portfolio ever more, then that's their decision. We'll liquidate the whole damn thing and just walk away. So that's kind of where I am with regard to my demo portfolio for TRI. But you all know, I mean, like Liam's Bitcoins, I've been so open with you as to my plan there. And if we do not hit the take profit levels that I would like to see to take profits, I won't do anything. And there's no capital gains on an asset that you don't sell. It just sits there. And if it sits there for another 5 years until next cycle, well, so be it. I don't care. And that's me being perfectly blunt and honest with you. All right. So I hope that helps you. And be careful here, folks. This is going to be a very, very tough time, probably over the next 3 or 4 months, for me to talk to all of you, because I'm basically going to be saying I'm getting out, and I'm taking profits, and I'm putting myself, maybe even taking coins and putting them on cold storage and forgetting about crypto. I'm going to be busy trading things that are energy related. And you guys are going to be sitting there going, well, what about crypto? What about crypto? What about crypto? And unfortunately, that's the end of the cycle. Really, I mean, sadly, that's this image. Can you respect this image? I don't know. It's not my job to get you to respect messages. And in fact, you might even come away from all of this going, I don't want to listen to this guy. He's an asshole. But, this is 10 years of working in this space. That's a decade right on your screen. I don't see anything changing here. So why would this time be any different? All right, folks, I think I'm going to leave it at that. Wish me the best of luck on the road with the boy today. We'll see everybody for Behind the Paywall video tomorrow. Slow and steady wins the race. Don't take no win nickels. Remember what your number one job is. PMA for the win. The only thing left Brian say to you is bye for now.